I'm going to skip a lot of my slides because I feel there are not many people from technical background here. So just show some numbers, and I'm ready to take some questions. Okay. So Loopring as a project, we started from August 2017. So our only focus is to build a decentralized order-based trading protocol that help people to run their own decentralized exchanges. So until now, we have delivered 3 major versions of the protocol, and with each major version, we included some very cool technologies there. Unfortunately, until now, we don't see a lot of adoptions. We ask ourselves why decentralized exchange like Loopring is not being adopted. We think we know the answers. There are multiple reasons, but 1 or 3 of those most outstanding reasons are these 3 on the screen. The first one is the overall user experience for DEX is terrible, right? And for professional traders, especially those market makers, the settlement of the trades are not instantaneous. That means you have to wait for the previous trade, wait for like 15 seconds on Ethereum to settle, and then you can start another trade if you rely on the previous fund to be available, right? But the most outstanding issue is the high cost and low throughput. I'm going to show you some numbers. Okay, so these are our objective. Those are the numbers. This is most important slide. Okay, so with Loopring 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, we will spend 300,000 gas to settle each trade on Ethereum mainnet. That means, Ethereum, for each block there is a cap. There is a 8 million gas cap for each Ethereum block. So in one block we can only put 26 trades or settlements. That means there's the throughput is only 2 transactions per second, right? So if we were talking about, competing with centralized exchanges, 2 transactions or 2 trades per second is worse. It cannot be worse, right? It's terrible. So the other 2 columns is what we are going to offer soon. So we are working on Loopring 3.0, and based on our current results, we provide 2 options. The first option is what Vitalik is really always talking about. It's called data availability. That means any party can get the data from Ethereum public blockchain and reconstruct the state of the DEX for any given moment in the history to verify what we claim to have computed off-chain and to withdraw all the money for any users, right? So data availability means security. So with data availability available, the DEX is as secure as the Ethereum mainnet. That means we don't have any security trade-off, right? There's another option which will give a much better throughput. Well, if you turn off the data availability, we can put 7,000 trades in 1 Ethereum block. That means 450 transactions per second on the Ethereum mainnet. So this is a game changer. This is very different from all the protocols that you have ever seen on the market, including 0x, including other order-based protocols. So the throughput is really important for us to get ready to compete with centralized exchanges, right? But the cost is also very important, right? With the previous versions, we have to spend like 13 cents, depends on the Ethereum price, to settle. And if you ask a market maker to make market on your decentralized exchanges, they will say no, it's too costly, you need to pay me a lot of money, right? Because someone is going to pay. But with 3.0, our new version, the trade to pay Ethereum is really low. It's now become 0.19 cent with data availability and 0.04 cent without data availability, so that you can basically ignore that cost, right? But on the other hand, there's additional other costs, because the way we use zero knowledge proof to do all the computations off-chain, so now we have something called prover. The prover will generate zkSNARK proofs. That takes a long time. But if you divided the time and the payment for AWS by the number of trees that you computed the proof for, you will get these numbers, the last row. So it's less than 1 cent per trade. So if you combine these numbers together, you get final throughput and cost for the newest Loopring DEX protocol. So that's 1 cent for with data availability, and the throughput is 120 trades per second, right? And the second one, without data availability, is still less than 1 cent. The throughput is 450. What does that mean? That means for the basic cost, the DEX can now match and settle orders worth like $5. So if the order is $5 to make it $10, you will cover the cost. So anything up bigger than $5, you can potentially make a profit. That's a very good news. Previously, this is not really happening, right? So I think this is a game changer. The following slide is about the technology. I used to be an engineer, and I've been always coding even now. So I'm going to just briefly surface the design. So now with DEX, you consolidate everything off-chain into what we call a Merkle tree. So it's a binary tree. Each node will have only 2 children. So whenever you change the node, you compute the hash into the roof, right? You get a new Merkle tree roof. The roof is, sorry, not the roof, the root. The root is only 32 bytes. And for each settlement transaction, you only put those 32 bytes on-chain. So the footprint on-chain is really minimized. That's why the cost is so low. If we can put even more transactions into one single settlement on-chain, we can even save more gas. But the Ethereum currently only support like 12 transactions in one block. So that's some limitations that will be improved on Ethereum. To modify the tree, you have to take care of different requests. And to make a DEX fully functional, you only have to take care of the top 3 requests. The other ones are just nice to have. When you receive enough requests, you bundle or batch those requests together into a block. This block is a different concept. You need to make sure this is not to be confused with the Ethereum block. It's our bundled requests. And for that bundled request, you generate a lot of receipts, which basically is a record of how you modified off-chain Merkle tree. And then with the receipt, you get a approver to work on the receipt, get approved. So conceptually, we are actually building a virtual blockchain on top of Ethereum. So let me skip this one. So this is the virtual blockchain on top of Ethereum, and each block is a 32 bytes Merkle tree root. So it's really minimum, and the data footprint is very small, very, very small. Okay, I'm going to skip these ones because they are boring. So one thing we want to make sure is all the users' requests are being handled in a timely manner, so that when the user deposits something into the DEX or do a withdrawal, within a certain amount of time, these requests need to be processed so the user can get their money back. Right? So we have some gaming theory design here to make sure if the DEX not fulfill its duty, doing something he has promised, they got punished, and a lot of their staked tokens are going to be lost. Okay. So this is the withdrawal mode, which means the DEX did something bad, and we need to force the DEX into like bankruptcy mode, and all the users' asset will be able to be withdrawn. There's also a like maintenance mode. We give the DEX operators a chance to upgrade their backend services. So they need some time to do that. So we designed this maintenance mode. Okay, so Loopring 3.0 has a ton of features that I don't even have time to talk about. What I talked is only related to performance and the cost. And today we have a lot of panelists and guests talking about the security tokens, right? So in the future, Loopring 3.0 is going to have a better support for security tokens to make sure when regulators or the insurers want to reward some transactions. I don't mean the transfers, I mean the tradings, right? If they want to reward the trades, there's a way for them to do that. Currently, none of the existing DEX has this support for regulatory operation. So that's it. I think here at Loopring we are really excited about what's going to happen in maybe 3 or 6 months to come. We believe the DEX landscape is going to be changed a lot. I also learned a very big lesson here by using zkSNARK. I think a lot of applications built on top of Ethereum is not using the right way to build their DApp. We shouldn't just put every computation, all the data on chain. That's not going to work. Even if Ethereum scales up like 1,000 times, there will always be more computation needs or requests. So putting all of those computations on chain is not going to work. So that's it. Thank you. And
any questions, man?
Any questions? All right. Thank you.